This episode of Kindred Spirits is brought to you in part by Mundy Development. Whether you're beginning your first real estate purchase or you're a seasoned investor, Mundy Development can assist you with all aspects of the process. Kick off your next investment by visiting mundydev.com. That's MUNDYDEV.com. You are now listening to Kindred Spirits Podcast on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network.
And welcome into Kindred Spirits here on the RFK Refugees Podcast Network. We are finally here with Kindred Spirits. We have actual physical games to actually discuss. Real life, 90 minutes, no guessing, no talking about other things to try to fill time. Actual games. And John, I think you're going to kind of take over, man, because you actually went out to Audi Field and you actually got to see the action firsthand in the press box. By the way, how is the Audi Field press box? I'm curious.
It's great. The view is fantastic. It's certainly better than Paramount Plus streaming quality. So if you want to see people live in 8K and see the back of their jerseys, I recommend the press box or just the stadium.
Now, about that, I do think the streaming quality looked at least a little bit better. Looked like it had been a little bit of a step up from what we saw previously from last season. I don't know if it's the fact that, they have the new VAR, the new Hawkeye system, that they need maybe a little bit more of a higher quality camera. I don't know. Could you see the cameras? Did they look like professional TV? Notice next time, my friend.
I did. I actually did look up above the press box because I don't think they were selling seats in that stand, and I saw what looked to be a professional look, a non-handheld camera.
That's
a camera that requires like a whole rig. So that's an improvement, I think.
What do you? Maybe let's get in. I want to maybe get into that first year. I think this is now the third year of CBS. I want to say fourth year. When did they start? 2020, I thought maybe might have been the first year. I feel like it was sort of the post World Cup hype. So we're in year 4, sort of, because 2020 was weird. But year 4 of CBS. I think the contract's coming up. Do you think the league will re-sign with CBS? Or do you think maybe NWSL looks at what is going on with MLS and what they've done with Apple and how they kind of took over production, took over the graphics package, and sort of boosted their content to sort of make it more of a professional display?
I don't know. I think they like CBS because CBS has linear television as well included in their ability, where you don't need to have a stream. You just need to have CBS Sports Network, which is not everybody. That's a higher tier cable package. Yep. They have the ability to put things on CBS. And then they have the flexibility with Paramount Plus. I think it'll be a challenge. They don't quite have the market the marketability for MLS was not high. We talk all the time on United 96 about the level of their their television rating problems. Apple was in a unique position of wanting something to own and something to go wall to wall with lots and lots and lots of content. I don't know that the NWSL is there yet based on the number of teams, the number of games that they can deliver. So I think right now at this point in their growth and trajectory, I think CBS continues to make sense. I hope that, I think it's very, very important. We talk about this all the time elsewhere. It's very, very important when there are a million options for television or for soccer that's on streaming or whatever. Mm-hmm. You've got to have the best video and audio fidelity possible. If you listened to the week 1 game between North Carolina Courage and who were they playing? Who did they play?
Kansas City Current, I think it was.
Kansas City Current, thank you. The big conversation piece was about how it sounded like they were talking in metal cans tied by string. The audio was horrible. They did a halftime report for the player on the field who had a headset who couldn't hear them just the same as they couldn't hear them at home. That kind of stuff can't happen when you're going up against, Barcelona, Real Madrid that same weekend, that same time. You got to have 4K. If it costs more, I don't care. You got to have perfect sound. If it costs more, I don't care. That's got to be where you spend your money first, even before other things, because that's the way more people are going to encounter your league on that than they're going to be there in the stadium. That's just the way the math works. What do you think about CBS in general and sort of where they're headed?
I agree with what your statements are about sort of where the league is. I think I'll be curious to see what happens when after the World Cup. I think the World Cup will be sort of maybe that's what the league is kind of waiting for. I'll be curious to see who else might show up as bidders. Maybe some other things will kind of get in. We look at ESPN. ESPN shedded a lot of their coverage, a lot of their soccer coverage. They basically have the USL, and that's it as far as like American soccer coverage. They no longer have the national teams. They no longer have any of that. So I think they could be maybe somebody that could try to sort of maybe keep themselves in the game, so to speak, and look at NWSL as maybe a growth opportunity. They have the ESPN Plus platform, which they still need to get games in, but they've also been talking about shedding. You look at Fox maybe stepping up. They've got the World Cups, they've got all that stuff, or maybe honestly, we could maybe see Turner. Maybe Turner steps in. There is more of a close connection between the NWSL and the U.S. Soccer program. So that could be another thing too. I think maybe it would be beneficial for the NWSL if they have the ownership that's willing to put in the money to maybe take over some of that production and maybe boost it a little bit and give it a better production value. It's clear that CBS, I think, is from what I've gathered, in charge of production. And if this is during the little basketball tournament that they cover. It's called the NCAA men's tournament. Maybe you've heard about it. So all of their production values, all of their trucks, all of their everything's going to go towards that as opposed to covering the women's soccer league at this point. So I think some of that coverage might be suffering because of that.
Maybe. But as far as being there in the stadium, I think that I had not been to Audi Field for anything this season. I wasn't there for DC United, so I got to see all of the murals that were painted. I got to see the brick cladding. If you were there, you were probably in line for the cherry blossom gear that the line stretched around the sports book and back. They have to figure out a better solution with that. Maybe having an additional merch tent on the other side of the stadium. It was overwhelming. Great turnout. 11,000 is the record they had for an opener. I'm very happy about that. Their buy one get one free ticket thing obviously I think had something to do with that, but I hope that they can continue to drive that. But I want to talk about the play on the field. We actually have 3 points to talk about, and I think that's great.
We got a win to talk about. You were there. You give maybe your bird's eye perspective.
The first thing to look at, I think, is the lineups. It was a very exciting. I think I tweeted as I was driving into the stadium, one armed, which is where I should not be tweeting while driving. I saw the lineup link for the Spirit, and I'm like, I don't know where everyone's playing. I can't tell you. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me from there. But the lineup was Kingsbury in goal, the thing that will never change on her 100th cap. Sam Staub and Tara McKeown, the starting center backs. A thing we talked about last week, wondering if Tara McKeown was the first game guaranteed center back, and we said, well, she's not. Or I said she's not. But Amber Brooks had picked up an injury and was only able to go about 30 minutes. So I don't know if that's going to be right for every game or they're still just trying to figure that out. But she was there starting in her first game as a center back. Well, this is all jacked up. There we go. Gabby Carl making her debut from the Canadian national team, and Dorian Bailey making her first appearance as a right back in NWSL. Andy Sullivan, Bailey Feist, Paige Matire, and that was the midfield. And then Trinity, Ashley Sanchez, and Ashley Hatch were the midfield three, or the attacking three. Although it was basically a diamond midfield with Ashley Sanchez as the center attacking midfielder, basically. So from a lineup perspective, I think there's a lot to talk about, and we'll get into sort of the logic behind the defensive changes that were occurring that we've talked about a little bit last week, and also sort of just the midfield, the surprise there, and we'll talk about it later. Paige Matire starting, she was a non-roster invitee, non-drafted player, comes in and starts and plays 90 minutes against the Supporters Shield winners from the previous year, against a midfield that can stack up against anybody. A Rose Lavelle, Jess Fishlock, just a ridiculous setup, and she managed very, very well. What did you think of when you saw the lineup?
I mean, obviously, of course, I think like you, I looked at FootMob, and FootMob didn't even know. I think they had
Tara as a forward.
They had Tara
which
McKeown playing.
She's still number 9. She's still number 9, by the way, playing center back. So that's going to mess with your brain all season.
I'm sure it is. But they had Mediire, Paige Mediire. I think that's how I said that right. Am I saying that right?
Mediire, I think. Yep.
Yeah, I had her as the center back. I mean, the lineup obviously is Tara McKeown is weird as a defensive player. I guess from the first half, I was kind of maybe a little distracted watching the first half, so I don't really have, I guess, too much. There wasn't anything I guess I saw in that situation that I thought like she looked out of place, I guess, as a center back. Obviously, Olo Rain dominated. They had the chances and dominated the game. It was 2.0 XG to close out the game to the Spirits 0.77. They were the better side, and Washington absolutely stole 3 points here. There's no question about it.
Yeah, the game was a bit of a scrum, and we'll get into that. I want to bring in sort of Mark. I want to sort of integrate the post game press conference into the analysis. So I think that we talked about the changes that occurred. That the fact that we had 2 debutantes in the back line who had never played defense before in NWSL, and also a new player. But Mark Parsons talked in the postgame about sort of the back line and how long this conversation's been going on. And we'll listen to that right now.
Yeah, we spoke to her in November. It was a conversation that the group was having and the staff. Mike Bristol, who's my assistant, and also the GM, had talked and discussed about Tara's qualities. And for me, when we did the profile, I could see all the strengths of a centre-back in what we believe a centre-back needs to be for our team. We spoke to her in November that this could be possible, and before pre-season, we confirmed to her that this is where we were going to go, and her mindset has been excellent. She's for the first 2-3 weeks, she wasn't able to train because of an injury. That's why we hope to get the 60 minutes today, which we did, which is a massive success. And then we had Amber coming on, who also unfortunately had an injury 3 or 4 weeks ago that set her back. She was only on 30 minutes today. So I'm really happy that those two did that. Also Sam, who I think is one of the best defenders with the ball at her feet in this league. I had to convince her to kick the ball towards the other half and towards space today, which she's not happy about. But I promised her it's only a couple games a year in this league. And I got caught today. I didn't think today was going to be the day we had to do that. We did. Sam was a monster in defending. Some of the dealing with Haitama, the long balls and flicking on from her with Lavelle and Fishlock running off the shoulder. I'm really proud of our backline, and that Aubrey made some big time saves when we needed her.
So the backline was something we've talked about. Fans have talked about it. We're mad. You're not signing center backs. You let Emily Sonic go. You let Kelly O'Hara go. You let Julia Rotter go, and you sign nobody. You sign Gabby Carl, and that's it. And we're supposed to be happy with that. So you're not vindicated in one game. There were lots of opportunities, and you're going to want to refine that. And I think Aubrey Kingsbury in the post game said something like, "This is not our final form. We're going to get a lot better than this." Mm-hmm. But I think in the first half, you saw a inclination to kick and be on the ground and be aggressive. And the Spirits struggled to adapt to that and didn't really adapt to it for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the first opportunities were all rain. I think when you have Ashley Hatch tracking back to commit a foul, pick up a yellow card for a free kick. It seemed almost like the team was like, giving up a set piece might be preferable than trying to deal with Rose Lavelle in space and running at you. And they definitely very much backed off. And I thought, again, for the first 15 to 20 minutes, very much kind of bunkered. I guess what maybe has me a little worried is, and again, maybe this is just due to the nature of sort of the lineup. There weren't, other than obviously we'll get to Trinity Rodman's goal, not a whole lot of the sort of clear-cut opportunities. I think we were worried about this team defensively. I'm a little disappointed that I don't feel like they generated a lot of chances that I would expect out of a front three that's basically stayed the same, where you have, Rodman, Hatch, and Sanchez, who should be very comfortable with each other and should be able to link up. So maybe there was something you see that maybe wasn't evident on TV, but that has me a little worried, I guess, heading into the rest of the season.
there are periods in the second half where I saw those sort of triangles start to emerge. It was just a very physical game, and it didn't really lend. I think that in their best scenario, this new offensive system requires sort of running onto the ball. Sort of it's sort of on. They're not gonna make 10 passes from midfield on to get an opportunity. It's going to be about speed and running back behind center backs. So, but I think it's if you were watching this game, you saw at any given point, Aubrey Kingsbury needed medical attention. Ashley Sanchez needed medical attention. I think Trinity Rodman went down. It was a kick fest for quite a bit. And Mark discussed sort of the play style that they weren't really necessarily expecting to get.
Yeah, the halftime to the group was, what they did well with some of the things that helped control the game. They kicked the ball long, they flicked it on, and that was tough to deal with. And then they pressed us, and that helped them manage the game and also the field. But it took us 28 minutes to kind of realize that we had a choice. I think we had to suffer and to take that all game, or we would have to match it. And yeah, we spent 8 weeks on being good on the ball and also being able to press as a group, and it turned into an NWSL game of chaos. And yeah, we suffer or we match it. We decided to match it. And I don't know, I wouldn't want to be near Rodman, Sanchez or Hatch when it's a game of chaos. And
yeah, so that was where he took it. And I think you got the picture. It's weird that OL Reign would be, and he was accusing Laura Harvey of like setting out to play that kind of game. That was the plan. So I think with a team with that much talent, that's an interesting decision to make. And I will tell you, in the first half, Ziara King had shut down Trinity Rodman. She was all over her, and she was also the most dangerous player on the offensive side of the ball. So that was an interesting thing that happened. That left side was being attacked. Gabby Carl and Tara McKeown were being targeted on that side, and all the play was on the near side where the press box was. So I got a good view of of the heat map. What it must have looked like just a white line on the left side of the field. But I think there's that it all changed, right? At second half, I think you definitely saw, and we'll talk about the goal in a second, but you saw a change in mentality. And Aubrey Kingsbury talked about sort of the fight that the team showed in the light of sort of going up against Team Chaos for OL Reign.
Yeah, and sorry.
Go, Brian.
Had a different game plan going into this game. So how were you guys able to adjust to the physicality of the OL Reign coming into in the first half?
Did we?
I thought we matched it. Yeah, like Trin said, the first game of the season, it's always chaotic. That's kind of the league. It takes a while to just find your footing, get everyone up to 90 minutes, and play the brand of soccer that we want to do. But I thought across the field, we all competed well. So really proud of the fight and just winning our individual battles. A lot of balls in the air. We defended crosses pretty well. So a lot of good takeaways. And yeah, I thought we matched their fight pretty well.
If you or your company would like to advertise on Kindred Spirits, please email producer Brian at rfkrefugees.com. More creative than a Trinity Rodman celebration, but with less profanity than an Amber Brooks gesture. I can promise you some spirited ad copy. Back to the show. I liked Trinity's open rebellion to the assumption in Mario Maya's question about adjusting to the style of play that OL Reign in the first half. It's like, I don't think we did. But where it happened in the second half, after Mark Parson tells them we have to adapt, we have to fight, or we have to suffer, or I'm already forgetting how we call it, something or suffer.
It was match it or suffer.
Match it or suffer.
Yep.
And they decided to match it. So that was the message in the halftime. And we have a very early in the second half goal by Trinity Rodman. Trinity Rodman carries the ball through the midfield. Just picks up a loose ball, carries the ball about 15 yards, 10 yards into the 18 with no defensive pressure from the OL Reign. Just continues to back off and back off and back off. And Trinity says, all right, I'll take that. I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's sorry. I don't know if you're set. I see. I don't know if you're setting up another clip or not. It was basically like you talked about her being sort of shut down in that first half. It was literally like the first space and the first opportunity she really got to sort of run, and she had space and she had time. And I have to imagine that if I'm Laura Harvey, first film analysis of training, I am just going to play that goal and be like,
Don't
we
let
were
that
doing
happen.
we were doing so good, and then this happened. What the heck happened here? That is something we do not want to repeat. They give her a ton of space. She does an excellent job running. She looks up. She sees, I think, an opportunity to shoot, and she fires and scores. I don't know like the exact. I was curious like what the XG like impact of that goal is, and I was looking at the analysis, Pat. It was a little uptick on there, so it couldn't have been more than like 0.10 of an expected goal on that front. But I think that's where I think the benefit of this team maybe struggling a little bit is you do have sort of those special players in Trinity Rodman and Ashley Sanchez who can sort of pull those things out in games and sort of maybe give you that extra bump maybe when things aren't going your way the entire game to find a goal. And it was a really nicely well taken goal. Probably, well, no, I don't think it's goal of the week. I think there was one in the LA game that I think might from 17-year-old. I can't remember who scored it, but an excellent goal there. So I don't know if that'll make the goal of the week cut. It might get a nominee, but an excellent goal from Trinity Rodman for sure.
Yeah, you want your money players to excel in those situations, and Mark Parsons talked about the kind of player Trinity is and the type of opportunities she's supposed to have in this new system.
Yeah.
Trinity, you mentioned in preseason you wanted her to show her qualities game in, game out. How did you think of her performance in that goal especially?
No, I think what I've been very consistent with Trin is I want her in areas when we're attacking closer to goal. We know wide she's going to really crush people in 1v1 situations and her crossing ability. But I also want to get her in areas where she can finish because she's a great finisher with both feet. Only this week in training, we're creating some scenarios we felt we would get today, and she had a one-on-one, a little bit different to this shot. She was breaking through, and her finesse of her strikes have continued to improve. And then in defending, we want her higher and pressing because when we win it, then we have a high again. She's been one of the best defensive forwards in this league with her regains and tackles and duels. It's unbelievable. The location of those have been a bit too low for me. Want them high, but also when we get momentum in the opponent's half, I want her closer to goal. She'll get the best of both. She'll be able to be in wide areas where people do not want to be 1v1. And then she also gets in front of goal where she can get goals and assists. And today was a great strike. And yeah, I'm excited to keep building the understanding with Hatch and Trin and Sanchez.
Trinity also sort of gave a quick play-by-play of what she saw and the opportunity that arose for her.
I think the majority of the first half and even the beginning of the second, like, we were stretching them, and I think they expected that. And obviously, if you see me and Hatch stretching you're going to want to drop. So I think when we saw those opportunities and they were dropping early, like, those were the moments where we could kind of pop off, and then we'd have the space because they weren't prepared for us to come in. So I think we did a good job of taking advantage of that in the second, for sure.
Yeah, and then the last, I don't know, you saw the highlight of her goal, right? You saw her celebration.
I didn't see that.
The celebration was not exactly what they planned. There was a bit of miscommunication here, but this was Trinity's view on what was going on there.
Trinity, can you take us through your celebration?
What even was that?
Oh no!
I'm like so embarrassed.
Oh, I thought you had
We
something
like
planned.
literally prepared it for like so long, and then when it came the moment, I was running in circles. I started doing something random, and then we had this like plan to like
I need video footage.
we
Yeah,
had this
so
plan for Sam to like slap me to the floor, and then we were gonna like resuscitate and do this like crazy thing, and then I go on the floor and I'm like, like I don't even know what happened, but hey, it was cool. So I didn't have that one planned, to be quite honest.
So hopefully next time they have a little bit more of a coordination, and if she's going to get resuscitated, they've communicated that, and she doesn't just have to like lay on the ground and do a weird dance, which is what she ended up having to do.
Yeah, I can attest to the I think I played 1 year of JV, and I had in my head of the celebration I was going to do if I played goalkeeper, by the way. celebration I was going to do if I ever scored a goal. And then I actually I was like, I'm going to run over and do like the little putt in like the corner flag. But I never thought it would happen. I was like, but that's what I want to do. And you score the goal and then you kind of you forget about all of that. And I think I ended up just doing like a golf swing type of celebration. I was trying to get like a teammate to go over, but everybody was around me. So I can sympathize in that sense, not the sense to the level that Trinity Rodman's scoring, but
yeah. So I think they'll do, but they'll improve as the season goes along. Everyone talks about getting 90 minutes fit and getting into the season. The same goes true for celebration coordination.
I actually thought it was wasn't there some sort of celebration that they're doing at the in the NWSL version of EA Sports? Didn't someone say
TikTok dance?
Yeah, there's some sort of TikTok dance or something going on there. I thought that was what it was. I hadn't watched it closely enough, so weird that it was a celebration that did not quite come through. But
so that's the good part about the Spirit. I think there were a number of chances that broke through that were sort of team breakdowns, situations where we'll talk about one particular breakdown. But Aubrey Bledsoe in the first half made a diving save to prevent a goal. But there's one play in the second half where she, I think Trinity called her Spider-Man, or Spider-Woman, where there's a run-in on goal by Jordan Heidema that she just rips the ball off of her foot. And her one-on-one play is something that is talked about a lot behind, in the locker room about what she's good at. But it was asked to both. We're going to go back to back on this. Mark Parsons was asked about her 1v1 skill, and then I asked at the end of the conference what happened there. What did she see that she was able to make that play on Jordan Heidema? So here we have that right now.
Well, I'll start off with I promised her before pre-season that our expected goals and conceded would go down. And every week we kind of have a discussion and the eyeballs stare at me and she holds me accountable for this promise. But what I know when we do get it wrong, she has many qualities, but this is her top quality. When opponents sneaks through, and in this league, it's going to happen once, twice a game because of the talent on every team. We know we got a 1v1 specialist and she's special. We played Inter Miami when Inter Miami boys joined us when we were in Florida, and she destroyed one of their afternoons by saving a one-on-one. I had to console him after that. It's not personal. It's just her quality. She has the profile of top modern goalkeeper. Distribution. She deals with crosses. She's calm and clear in her communication. Shot stopping's outrageous, and then this icing on the cake with 1v1. Very happy for her today. I'm glad that her and her family got a ceremony where she kept a clean sheet and we got 3 points. And this place set a new record for a home opener. She deserves that. She's emptied a lot for this team. And she's gone the hard way. I've seen her journey throughout the NWSL. She's gone the hard way. She's traveled around the world to be able to get games and go on loan. And now she's showing, specifically 2021, because it takes special players to be able to win a championship. And we want to get back to that type of soccer for Aubrey. And I think today, we did a better job, but then she saved us when we needed her.
Mark talked about your one-on-one shot stopping ability. I think there was one that we can all talk about.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Tell us what you saw on that as you
Yeah, I don't know who played the pass, but they slipped in Heidema in the box. That's funny you say that because we did kind of go through our strengths, so I shared that was one of mine. I just came out to kind of close the space, and she didn't shoot it right away, so I was patient, kind of waited for her to take another touch, and she dribbled laterally and gave me an opportunity to come win it. So, it's great to be able to come up for the team in those moments and see out the win and give Trin the game winner. Yeah, thank you.
Like Spider-Man.
Something like that.
Yeah, jeez, who was the Joker asking that question?
I don't know. And not only that, they were somewhat annoyed with me because that was the end of the press conference. I think right before that, Sam was like, "All right, last question." I was like, "Actually, I have one more." Was like the guy at the end asking for more homework at the end of it. That was me. I apologize, but yeah, I thought it was a great play, and it was really indicative of what that special. And Mark says like you need that in NWSL. You need a world class goalkeeper, particularly with a young backline, and she really pulled through there.
But by the way, speaking of that moment, I remember this moment. The commentators were, I don't know, little OL Reign bias going on. I think in the second half of what I noticed, they seem to put less of that save on Kingsbury and more on the fact that the forward, I forget who was the attacker that that Kingsbury took that off of, giving more of the credit to the fact, or the blame on the attacker than on Kingsbury, which was a little annoying. They also were talking about how great it was that Fishlock held her run and was onside on one play, and she was blatantly offside on that play. It was very obvious from the broadcast. Speaking of which, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if it was coming through on the broadcast, but that was a moment where I was like, are the referees holding their flag for VAR? Did you notice any sort of impact? Because the players a lot of times would throw their hand up. I wonder if maybe there's a little bit of an adjustment going on for now. What we should see is the referee holds their flag once the play is, the situation is moot. Then they throw their flag up for offsides if they think it. But anything you noticed, I guess, live that maybe VAR might have been playing a role in referee decisions or how things were going?
I didn't see that. No, I did not notice that at all. But that is something certainly to watch out for as their maiden voyage with VAR continues.
Yep.
So that they held a lead late, and if you remember 2022 at all, NWSL Washington Spirit, that was not a guarantee of points, and usually it was a guarantee of no points. A lead late. So someone asked Aubrey sort of what end of this game. What was the mindset? How do they dig deep and hold that result, even though, like you said, that was a sort of a goal out of nowhere from Trinity, and the XG gods did not favor them in this game. But Aubrey had a lot to say about sort of what the end of the game mentality was about.
I actually was joking that the Spirit of last year would have lost this game like 3-1, with a couple goals in stoppage time. But yeah, just like Trin said, this year we're not taking as many risks. We've worked on clearances. We get it out. And I think it's just a renewed mentality as well. Like, we're all committed to defending. It's not just the back four. Starts from our nines and goes all the way back to me. So, Parsons has kept us in line. And I think our defense will be much improved this year.
So, what did you agree? As you were watching that at the end of the second half, were you feeling like, are they going to blow this, or is this a safe 3 points?
I thought Ola Reign was going to tie it. There was one moment, I think, where I think they were playing the ball out of the back. I'm not sure who lost the ball. I have to go back and look at the video, but they were trying to sort of play the ball out of the back. I think one of the players gets a cramp. She kind of drops down and sort of tries to stretch as Rose Lavelle is streaking into the middle of the goal and sort of just does not hit a ball wide. I think she's correct. I think this is a game they would have lost. I think a later season OL Reign. I think this game is either a disappointing draw or the OL Reign get the 2 goals from their 2 expected goals they should have scored, and they end up winning this game. Again, maybe the Spirit will be better. I think there was a lack of sharpness in the attack from OL Reign. I kind of refreshed my memory as I've been listening to these clips, kind of rewatching the highlights, making sure my memory is correct. And there were several moments that I had forgotten about where I think there was a wide open header that went wide. There were several opportunities where you could see, I thought OL Reign are going to get a tying goal in this, and it's going to be 1-1, and we're going to have a disappointing thing. But to their credit, they bent, but they sure didn't break. And sometimes that's better to be lucky than good. And I think the Spirit were very fortunate to walk away with 3 points here. It could have very easily gone the other way, maybe even worse if OL Reign had been a little bit sharper. Yeah,
I don't know that you can. I don't think that they can coast to you can't count on luck all the time, right? I think that the DC United is experiencing the opposite of bad luck all the time. But I don't think the Spirit can count on that again. They've got Racing Louisville on the 1st of April on Saturday here at 3:00. So a team that you like the way they match up against, at least based on sort of the other rosters. The thing about NWSL is you should never listen to anybody about preseason predictions because this league is insane. Parity is insane, and also preseason games weren't visible for anybody, so we were all guessing. That's the dirty little secret. Every preview you read by anybody, by any writer, was just guessing. And now at least we've got a little bit of tape on everybody.
It's all, I said preseason predictions in MLS and NWSL is all in the same thing. Where did the team finish last season? And if they were good and kept things the same, well, then you'll probably find yourself up on the top of preseason predictions. If you were bad and everybody looks at it and says, well, you didn't improve, so I don't think you're going to be good again this year. And I think that's where the Spirit fell into, is everybody looks at it and says, well, I don't see them making too many major improvements on this team. And I think maybe that's where the preseason predictions. I don't even know who would go out and make preseason predictions for NWSL, to be honest. Like,
lots of people have to. They're employed and they are required to.
That is like ultimate bulletin board material for any team that you pick low. I might actually like do the inverse of like my predictions.
I said that to Jose Umania. He's like, yeah, that's true. But also, if you happen to make a really ballsy pick and it turns out you can wave it in people's faces at the end of the year. So they assume everyone's wrong. And if you just luck into one, then you can coast on that.
I will say Kim McCauley was the one person I read some of her predictions for NWSL. And I think she had the Spirit in fourth. And she said, she said, I think they'll be better than this year. I think they've got more better team. Basically all the things that we were saying. This team was better than what they showed last season. I think there was a lot of, I think we're going to find out there was a lot of extenuating circumstances surrounding that season that maybe were not visible, considering the coaching situation and everything else that kind of happened. So
it was alluded to a lot that the vibes were bad last year.
Yeah.
By just in this first press conference. So take that for what you will. I think the big thing about this team has always been that if they've been failed off the field, they have succeeded on the field because of the players taking big responsibility of, things that they may not have, that shouldn't have to take responsibility of. Mm-hmm. Andy Sullivan in interviews has basically said she was asked if she wanted, this was, I believe, with Andre Carlisle, was asked if she wanted input into the coaching hire. And she's like, no, I just want to play. I have my whole career has been me having to deal with garbage that's nothing to do with playing. And I would just love to just focus on what I'm trying to do. So go ahead.
You and everybody else in the NWSL just wants chaos on the field. Give me all the chaos you want on the field, but just please everything off the field. Can we just dial back the chaos a little bit?
Yeah. So Mark Parsons saw that, knew that, and said we're going to take some steps to take the burden off those players who want to just focus on their own play and then go in a different direction for this season. So this is him talking about that.
We've had a detailed process. Of course, everything has been reset. We're while trying to respect that there's been great leaders. There's also been three in Tori, Andy, and Aubrey who have carried more weight than anyone should do in professional soccer. We had a process where we doubled the size of our leadership group. We didn't want that three people would carry that weight. I've been very deliberate with individuals about what their role is, matching their leadership qualities. There has been a high priority since the first moment I spoke to Andy is if she's playing well, we have a chance of being successful. And we need to make sure the weight of the last few years isn't there with her. And with the armband, whether you like it or not, when you have the armband and there's problems will run at you. When it comes from you guys on the media or from players or staff, when you have that responsibility. Myself and all staff, we wanted to, from the very beginning, we made it clear, we need to get some weight off Andy for the best of our team, but also the best for Andy. She's vice captain. Aubrey is captain. Now, Andy, I've known her since she was 14 years old. She's going to lead every day, every week. I probably won't be able to keep that weight off her because that's who she is, but we're going to try. Aubrey, I think her with Tori and three other people in the leadership group, I've asked them to lead in their way, not any other way, and everyone be authentic. And so far, they've been doing a good job. And yeah, and when I say 6 people in the leadership group, it's going to take a lot more than that. We've got some big goals this year, but these 6, we're excited to give them this responsibility and take some weight off the 3 that carried for 2 years.
Can you share who those other 3 players are?
Yeah, Tara, Barney, and Hachi. And as I say them, I think of 3 instantly who aren't in that, who have led more in the last 2 weeks than anybody else.
It's a team spoilt for leaders, which I guess is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But Aubrey, save of the match. I hope she gets. I've not seen if there's been save of the week nominees. I think she should be in the mix. But in her 100th cap for an NWSL franchise, which came this weekend, she also wore the armband for the first time, and she also spoke about what that meant to her and sort of what the leadership picture looks like now on the Spirit.
Yeah, a bit. I would say in years past, NWSL players have had to bear a lot of the burden of maybe administrative work, of decision making, just because we're understaffed, and just the different dynamics that have happened with, coaching staff and just things that we won't get into. But a lot of it has fallen on the players, and by bringing in, a lot of world-class talent on our performance and technical staff, and expanding the leadership group and calling everyone to be a leader and really empowering everyone to really get the most out of their career, I think it definitely helps spread the load. Like, we've got so many great personalities on this team, and everyone has strengths and things to offer to the group. So instead of just looking to a couple people, like, we're really leaning on each other.
Yeah, so that's where they're going to go this year. They have the structure in place off the field to support them better, but they also have a new, improved sort of pyramid of leadership that's going to help the team stay focused on the field. So if you're a Spirit fan, you got to feel good. You hesitate to feel confident that that no one's going to pull the bottom piece out of the Jenga board, but you got to feel good about the things that have been put in place to make sure that the train stays on the tracks here this season.
If we learned anything about last season, it's nobody. I mean, honestly, nobody's safe. We talk about who are good guys right now. Mark Parsons seems like a good guy. Seems like a guy.
I'm not making that statement anymore.
Yeah,
I'm done
after what happened. But I mean, I think that's sort of the the Spirit's not so secret weapon is going to be the backroom staff, the support they get outside of just the talent on the field. And it's something that they are spoiled compared to a lot of the other NWSL teams from what we've understood. There's a lot of bare bones operation, Chicago being the number one on that list of just bare bones operation. And having that sort of support and all, you talk about the administrative. I mean, part of that's probably driven in large part because, there's very few assistant coaches. So there's very few coaches. So they kind of have to not only play, but sort of manage a team. And that's not something as professional. Yes, maybe if you want to get into coaching as you get older, maybe you want to take a little bit more, some of the roles of that. But a lot of these players for the Spirit are in the prime of their careers. Their number one focus should be playing and getting better. And I think that's something that seems obvious. Christian Benteke for DC is not worried about managerial or administrative duties. His job is to go work hard in training, listen to the coaches, and score goals. And that's his focus.
He's not doing any PR work. He's not getting together with teams and like coordinating a large press statement about their coaches' misgivings. That's not having to happen to Christian Benteke. So just keep that in mind. Annie Sullivan is a U.S. women's national team midfielder starter, and she's also carrying those. And not just her, Tori Huster. There are a lot of players that were doing way more than they should have, but she was sort of the one that was singled out as it wasn't going right.
I mean, it has to be draining. I mean, you think about any time in your job when you've had to do some other type of work that was not in your job description. It's frustrating, and it's just as annoying for these players too to have to be running their own PR, like you said, drafting statements, going through statements, and I mean that has to be just exceptionally draining. So I hope upon hopes that the league, I don't doubt we're going to have some more incidents. Like I think there is something coming. I hope it doesn't come from the Spirit. I can't just, I will not believe we have reached the end of the barrel or the bottom of the barrel. And we're done with the incidents and coaches getting fired without explanation until we hear the reason they get fired. And it's usually very, very bad. I will not believe that until until at least we get 3, 4, 5 years out of this. And even then, who knows? But I hope for, at least for the Spirit, that they are allowed to focus on their number one job, which is be soccer players. And I think if that can happen, they will have a leg up on several other teams that do not have the support structure in place. So hats off to Michelle Kang. She is absolutely doing what she said she would do in providing the support for this team so far. And I hope that certainly continues as this team gets forward. Did the field look good, by the way? It seemed less slippery. No, it seemed less slippery than the DC game.
It was less slippery because it was less wet, but it was definitely beat. You could tell that the pitch was moving a little bit underneath their feet.
Yeah.
So, DC defenders, do your worst, I guess.
Please replace that field, DC defenders. I guess is more what
that
we're
would be
say.
preferable.
That would be preferable. All right. Anything else you want to add, or do we?
I just want to make sure that if you like the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/RFK Refugees. I understand it's not /Kindred Spirits, but we are a soccer conglomerate, so we've been everywhere doing everything. So that's where we're at. If you want to support us, we also have a Discord, which we will pin on the Kindred Spirits Twitter. But if you want to find it, if you want to look, we'll start doing. I will not be in the Game Day Spirits chat because I will be in the stadium trying to tweet all the time and also pay attention so I can speak about it. But we could certainly have some folks. Our DC United live chats are great for games, and hopefully that we can get people to pull double duty. So think about joining that as well.
Yes, I've learned now the NWSL has a lot fewer prediction times, and this is a busy season for me as I referee. So I will make an effort. I will make an effort for home games to be filler in and be active in those chats when I can. So, and we're almost there. We're almost one more month, and then I'm free. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining. Patreon.com/RFK Refugees. Your donations really do help keep the show running. It helps us get the show sounds amazing because we're able to pay for services that allow us to do that. So if you wonder where your mother goes, it goes towards things like that. Thank you all so much.
Cool merch.
And
like
cool
this.
merch. Yes. Websites, hosting, the whole shebang, everything. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you guys next week. Vamos.
Vamos.
It's going to be a long.
Thanks again to our show sponsor, Mundy Development, available to help you with all of your real estate needs. To get started on your next real estate investment, visit mundydev.com. That's MUNDYDEV.com.